Oh man, welcome everybody. We are indeed back for, you guessed it, the ever fifth installment of our subclass discussions here on the Arcane Archive. That's right. This particular series is still going strong, and we intend to continue it as best as we can. Though I will say some of the picks and choices that we're going to be showcasing at this point might be, maybe not as soaring highs, crushing lows as some of the others before it, of course, as we start to slowly tick off all of the different subclasses, you'll begin to see that the range of difference between them might start to get closer and closer as we near the center of the pack, as it were. But today we will be giving you a nice special little treat. We're going to be talking about a couple of different subclasses. Sam, you would go ahead and tell the people, what are your two subclasses that you're going to be showcasing off for us today?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the Rune Knight Fighter and the College of Swords Bard.
Yeah.
Whether or not one of them is good and one of them is bad, no, it's the Rune Knight is more interesting to me. Unfortunately, College of Swords leaves
College
much
of Swords
to be desired.
I feel like the overall flavor or vibe or theme of this episode is just going to be woefully underwhelming. Especially at least for the negative parts and the negative classes that we're going to be talking about. The other two, however, they have a lot of incredibly interesting and I want to say niche, but that's not quite probably the accurate word, but about a lot of unique aspects and features to them that make them surprisingly really cool, interesting, and powerful too. For me, my two choices of the day is we have one last overall class that we have not discussed in our subclass discussions at this point. I believe there might be one or two others that I might be missing, but to my knowledge, we have still yet to discuss the bloodhunter class from the Critical Role supplement, which at this point, despite the fact that it is still technically Critical Role content, it has been utilized in many of an actual, real D&D production, official D&D productions, and other things. It's a fan favorite. People do actually like this subclass or this class as well as its corresponding subclasses. Even though they're still a little not janky, but a bit of the word choice in their descriptions can leave a bit of open interpretation, which can make certain aspects or abilities a bit difficult to discern and to make certain decisions on, depending. But that being the case, as I said, I'm going to be talking about Bloodhunter, Order of the Mutant, as well as we're going to revisit the Wizard. But this time the Wizard, we're going to talk about School of Conjuration. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide which of those two is the negative and the positive as we talk about them. But that being the case, let us go ahead and jump right into this shit. And I will start us off today with Bloodhunter, Order of the Mutant. So, the process of undertaking the Hunter's Bane ritual is a painful, scarring, and sometimes fatal experience, and those who survive are irrevocably changed, and not always for the better. Over generations of experimentation, a splinter order of blood hunters honed the way in which hemocraft alters the body, using corrupted alchemy and toxic elixirs to alter their blood even further, and over time, they have learned to modify their capabilities in battle, becoming something beyond what they once were. Calling themselves the Order of the Mutant, these blood hunters now specialize in assessing the strengths and weaknesses of their foes, altering their biology to the best prepared for to be best prepared for any conflict. Now, obviously, for those of you who don't know, this particular passage should give you an indicator. This is Matthew Mercer's love note to the Witcher series.
Yeah.
He is a known huge fan of the Witcher series, and this class was this particular subclass as well was one of the first that he ever made, maybe even the first after his initial creation for Vin Diesel. The Blood Hunter essentially was descended from the Witch Hunter class that he made specifically for Vin Diesel for their game when they did like with D&D celebrities or whatever, and they did it like because of his new movie coming out called The Last Witch Hunter. And then from that, he created the Bloodhunter class, and then subsequently the Order of the Mutant, Order of the Lycan, and then the Order of Profane Soul, the shitty one that nobody likes or talks about. We will get into that one at some point too, because we absolutely, that is probably like our last big, I think, like shit nuke that we're gonna have to get into at a different time.
Yeah, which we've avoided for a while because we wanted to stick with the baseline classes.
Yeah,
but we've done enough of these that Bloodhunter should be talked about.
At this point, and people love Bloodhunter. Tons of them are playing it now. It is, by all standards of measurement, pretty official at this point. But that being the case, this particular subclass, in my opinion, actually is pretty baller and amazing in a number of ways. And depending on how you utilize it, can absolutely be pretty busted, especially at higher levels. So going down the list, starting at level 3, when you choose this archetype, you learn to master forbidden alchemical formulas known as mutagens that can temporarily alter your mental and physical abilities. As a bonus action, you consume a mutagen whose effects and side effects last until you finish a short or long rest, unless otherwise specified. And while one or more mutagens are affecting you, you can use an action to focus and flush all mutagens from your system, ending their effects and side effects instantly. Mutagens are designed for the specific biology of the character who concocted them, and your mutagens have no effect on other creatures. They are also unstable by nature, losing their potency over time and becoming inert if not used before you finish your next short or long rest. So, they have a mutagen craft table here specifically. It showcases like at what level you are able to create how many mutagens at a time, as well as like how many different formulas you know to like, basically how many different effects or types of mutagens you can create at that level. Starting at 3rd level, when you first get this ability, you can create only 1 mutagen at a time, but 4 different formulas of mutagens. So you can choose from those 4 formulas which one that you want to create. At 7th level, you can create 2, and you have 5 known formulas. At 11th level, you can still only create 2 mutagens at a time, but you have access to 6 different formulas. At 15th level, you are finally able to create your maximum of 3 separate mutagens, but 7 total formulas. And finally, at 18th, a total of 8 formulas. But still can only create 3 mutagens. But again, this particular subclass is pretty busted. And like once you have those maximum 3, that's kind of really when, shit can start getting a little bonkers. Heck, even 2, you can start really kind of taking advantage, because at 7th level, 5 different formulas and you can create 2 mutagens, meaning you can have those 2 mutagens active at the same time. And you'll see, based off of the effects they present, how kind of crazy this can get. So the number of mutagens you can concoct when you finish your rest, and the number of formulas increases as you gain levels in the Bloodhunter class. Additionally, when you learn a new mutagen formula, you can replace one formula you already know with a new mutagen formula, or rather a different one. You choose 4 mutagen formulas to learn from the option detailed at the end of the subscription or the subclass description, and you can concoct 1 mutagen when you finish a short or long rest. So that's always nice. Literally, these abilities, this also provides you with a little bit more versatility in your mutagen, because you can do it at a short rest as well. So same thing of like if you have like a warlock in the party, you just take a short rest, you can flush out whatever mutagen is currently affecting you, and then switch it up after a short rest, create a different one, and then consume or down that one. Or activate that one as well to basically switch up for any kind of situation you might need. You do still technically need an hour like every time to prepare and do this, but in the grand scheme of things, you usually can find like at least 1 hour of rest time, short rest time per most sessions, honestly. Like it's not that big of an ask, or nor is it a rare occurrence by any means. Stepping it up, your next ability or feature that you gain will be at level 7. It is known as Strange Metabolism. Your body begins to adapt to toxins and venoms, ignoring their corrupting effects. You gain immunity to poison damage and the poison condition. And additionally, you can trigger a burst of adrenaline that lets you temporarily resist the negative effects of a mutagen. As a bonus action, you can ignore the negative effects of one mutagen affecting you for 1 minute. Once you do so, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So this is specifically pertaining the mutagens themselves all have positive effects, but also some negative effects. So before we go on with the rest of the levels, let me just go down real quick and we'll like list off some of the mutagens that you can actually like consume and make and what their effects are. So specifically, we can just go down. We're just going to do alphabetical. Just makes the most sense. You have a mutagen known as Aether or Ether. You have a flying speed of 20 feet for 1 hour. However, you have disadvantage on strength and dexterity checks during this time. Your alluring formula. Your skin and voice become malleable, allowing you to enhance your appearance and presence. You have advantage on charisma checks. However, you have disadvantage on initiative rolls. Celerity. Your dexterity score increases by 3, as does your maximum for that score. However, you have advantage on, or you have disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. Your dexterity score and your maximum increase by 4 if you consume this mutagen at 11th level and by 5 finally at 18th level. So this right here, they as you might be able to ascertain, they have multiple mutagens that can literally increase your ability scores by no small amount by consuming this mutagen. Now, all of them have, negative effects, but then you also have other mutagens that specifically can counter those negative effects, essentially giving you a new, like a character that was able to increase their baseline attributes, of which that is an incredibly rare thing in every aspect of the game, by a minimum of 3 and to a maximum of 5. And again, with 3 mutagens, by the time you get the +5, you have access to 3 mutagens that you can use at a time. And that would then allow you to use those other 3 or those other 1 mutagen to counteract the negative effects of your attribute boost. So we'll keep going down the line. Conversant. You have advantage on intelligence checks. However, you have disadvantage on wisdom checks. Cruelty. When you use the attack action, you can make 1 additional weapon attack as a bonus action. However, you have disadvantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. This one's pretty stupid because you can kind of just do that anyway if you have 2 weapon fighting. But if you have only 1 weapon, I guess it's okay. But in my opinion, not really worth anything, especially the negative effects you get from it. Deafness. You have advantage on dexterity checks. However, you have disadvantage on wisdom checks. Embers. You have resistance to fire damage, but vulnerability to cold damage. Gelid. You have resistance to cold damage, but vulnerability to fire damage. Impermeable. You have resistance to piercing damage and vulnerability to slashing damage. So as you see, like there's usually going to be a mix and match where they usually provide, resistance, vulnerability, and then the inverse or the opposite of that, obviously another way around. Mobility. You have immunity to the grappled and restrained conditions. However, you have disadvantage on strength checks. At 11th level, however, you are also immune to the paralyzed condition. Night Eye. You have dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. However, if you already have dark vision, its range increases by 60 feet. However, as well, you have disadvantage on attack rolls and wisdom perception checks that rely on sight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you are trying to perceive is in direct sunlight. Precipient. You have advantage on wisdom checks, but disadvantage on charisma checks. Potency. Your strength increases by 3, as does your maximum for that score. However, you have disadvantage on dex saving throws. Again, if you use potency in conjunction with, let's see, dex saves. Sorry, not that one. The celerity, your dex goes up even higher. So even if you have disadvantage on your dex saves, doesn't really matter because your dex at that point would at least be +3, and if not higher. And if you're playing a bloodhunter, your dex is probably going to be pretty high anyway. At least that's kind of one of the best ways to make a bloodhunter is using dex. Strength works okay too, but obviously dex just being the super stat that it is probably usually the best way to go. But again, you have so many different mutagens that you can use for a variety of different aspects and bonuses. Obviously, some of the baseline are the ones you get from you get resistance to certain elements or certain attack types. Honestly, the best ones are probably just the ones that increase your attributes by such a staggering amount. That's the thing. It's not even like you just increase it by 1 or even 2. The baseline is 3. and then it goes up in potency as you get to higher levels, maxing out at 5,
which is insane
at some point. And it not just that, but it increases your maximum like a score.
Yeah, you can walk around with 25 decks, which
25 decks at
lot.
level 18 or whatever, which is like that's crazy. That's more than technically a level 20 barbarian could get with their capstone feature. Like, to be fair, the bonus wouldn't be any different. Like, you know, you would still have the same modifier.
No, it goes higher.
No. For 24, 25, it's the same thing. It wouldn't be any higher.
Still,
so like even though technically, yeah, it's a straight 25, so it's like your modifier wouldn't be different, but still, that's kind of bonkers. Along with the fact that if you get, let's say, like a manual of deftness and quickness, it would increase it even more. You would be able to go up to 27 at that point.
Yeah.
With this ability, and if you had that special book or manual or whatever, like that shit is this thing again with the right prep, with the right strategy, and obviously it is true. It takes a little. It'll take a while unless you start at a higher level or are doing like a higher level or epic campaign. But this subclass, and this is what I loved about it too, is because like it has so many fun, dope little combinations and like mixtures that you can throw in, right? It's like this thing, it has so much potential. You can go just a baseline route of just being an epic, ridiculous powerhouse with your multiple mutagens that'll just allow you to increase your stats bonkers. But, you know, you could do something different. You can go to like reconstruction for 1 hour at the start of each of your turns. When you have at least 1 hit point, but fewer hit points than half your hit point maximum, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. However, your speed is reduced by 10 feet during this time. But you could also technically get rid of that negative of your speed being reduced by 10 feet by also drinking rapidity. Your speed increases by 10 feet. However, you have disadvantage on intelligence checks. At 15th level, your speed increases by an additional 15 feet. So you had to have disadvantage on intelligence checks, but technically that would also probably be canceled out because as a bloodhunter, you will often have advantage on intelligence checks for a lot of the monsters or enemies or creatures you are probably interacting with. Anything else, you probably don't really need to do the intelligence check for. So like, even that's not even that huge of a negative aspect really in the long run. And then with rapidity, you essentially just get at 15th level, at least if you're at 15th level, you just get an extra 5 additional feet of movement. So it's like, depending on which ones you mix together and all that cool stuff, like you could make a really, and any like mutagen hunter or order of the mutants can be different than a different one based off of like the mutagens that they're utilizing even there. I love that. Like, again, one thing that we said specifically for a subclass that makes it great is when you have abilities that you can utilize throughout obviously your entire career or time with this character and subclass, or as well as features that combine and work off or like jump off of one another really well. And this one just baseline has that exponentially so with its first ability that you get, which is your mutagen crafting. So as you can see, a lot of really cool, varying different mutagens and stuff. And again, you can make mutagens like over a period of a short rest. So you take an hour, you can switch out all of your current mutagens with another 3 or 1 or 2, whichever one you currently have access to at a time, to then again give you more diversity and versatility with what you can really do in a situation, especially if you're planning something out. Some of these mutagens, however, I will say they are level locked, so you have to be a certain level to like unlock the formula to craft those mutagens. But again, like all of some of the most powerful ones, again, all of the ones that boost your attributes are right at the beginning. You can do those right away.
Which I mean, like we're talking about, oh, well, I can get to 25. But the reality is, even at a lower level, if you're willing to take the negatives, you could get a max dex score, max strength score, or max intelligence, although it's mostly going to be dex. But you could get, above a 20 or sit yourself at a 20 when everyone else is sitting at like a 16 max stat or 17 max stat. And so like if you play your cards right and you build your character correctly from like level 1 from the stat roll, you can give yourself a pretty you know, sizable power spike in combat in a way that's like not any other class can really do. Yes, there's
Not
downsides.
such a lower, but
No,
not
but like
much. Like depending on how you build it. Like for instance, one particular, and this is kind of how I actually literally built one of these. I built a bloodhunter Order of the Mutant. I did a little bit of different spin on the flavor though. I actually made him a Warforge, and so instead of it being like mutagen specifically that he consumes to get these abilities, I did it more like they were like input commands or like specific operation executions that like allocated energy to specific areas of his like body, mind, when you're like, when Iron Man's like, yo, redirect all energy to, thrusters or to, repulsor beams, you know what I mean? So that's basically like that, where you have those protocol commands that you can allocate energy from your core to specific functions to boost the effectiveness of it. And the cool thing about Blood Hunters as well is they get to choose for like their abilities, their blood hunter magic and shit. They can choose to either utilize intelligence or wisdom. And one particular mutagen for this subclass, increases your intelligence by 3. And the only downside is you have disadvantage on charisma saving throws. Sammy, would you like to tell the people here how often, how likely, how much of a probability is it statistically that you will ever really encounter charisma saving throws, especially at low level?
Way less than you should. We have talked about this before.
Indeed,
I definitely believe there should be more charisma saving throws. It's why classes like the paladin and the sorcerer and the bard unfortunately have a dead saving throw.
Little bit, yeah. The paladin makes up for it with their ability to increase
they just have good shit
by like +5. Yeah, but it's unfortunate for sorcerers
warlock,
and bards.
Sorcerer, bard. They all have charisma saving throw proficiency, and there are a negligible amount of charisma saving throws. Now, if you're me,
it's kind of abysmal.
I'd be okay with the DM maybe changing some of them around for fun. But baseline game, if you don't have a creative DM who's changing saving throws, or a adversarial one, it's an underused saving throw, so you're not really losing out on much. And I do want to stress, while disadvantage sucks, if your character if your character is already good at something, like good at something, disadvantage isn't the worst thing. And if you're already not good or middling,
it doesn't really
matter.
It doesn't matter. That's the biggest.
You're gonna fail either way.
Thing here, it's like, even if you suck, you suck more now. Well,
like
okay.
we love advantage here. Like I'm a big proponent of advantage, especially 100%. Because I played a lot of melee classes where flanking. I play a lot of rogues and fighters and barbarians where it's like you live or die.
It is paramount to have that advantage.
You kind of live or die by those crits, and especially the way I play, because I'm in to die or kill. So for me, you live and die by the crit. You live and die by killing something very fast, and so getting advantage gives you just a second chance of just a little bit.
Oh, and here's the thing. From my thing, again, being an infamous serial low roller as well.
Disadvantage is kind of a death sentence to you.
That it really is. Like it is like a chopping guillotine block. Like I'm just like, and I need that advantage just to slightly increase my odds of maybe rolling just a little bit better. And so like, but again, the point we're making here,
it's not that big a deal.
Charisma saves.
It's not that.
Yeah. Who gives a crap about charisma save? Now, don't get me wrong. Here's the thing, right? When you do encounter a charisma save, you definitely want to pass. They are very few and far between, and there's a reason for that, because most of them usually have to do with teleportation, conjuration rather. So basically, any charisma saves that usually happen are things that will normally take you out of the fight.
Plane shift,
banishment is the most well-known one. Plane shift is a higher level one, but even then, still,
That's a big deal, though.
It is. And I honestly, I do agree. I still feel like a lot of charming spells should technically coincide with
some
charisma.
of them,
because we're always saying like charisma is not necessarily about
your
like just
willpower.
it's your force of will and presence. And so you would think that an ability to charm, literally trying to, hold your mind or whatever, especially since charisma is the stat. It's like, hey, yeah, that's the thing that you do to manipulate people or to, again, interact with people. It makes sense for charisma to be the stat that would technically go directly against that, in my opinion. I understand why they did wisdom, because wisdom is also like insight to see if people are lying.
The one I would
perception.
change is all of the psychic spells should be charisma in my eyes.
I mean, I get why they did
wisdom.
Intelligence, though. Well, no, psychic is usually intelligence, because it's like your resistance of mind, though. So
I guess. But I think you can. There's a couple of things you can make an argument for, like the fear spells, or like the psychic. The murder. What's the one where it follows you around and you think there's a murderer chasing after you?
It's like phantasmal force.
Yeah, the phantasmal spells. Like, I could make an argument that it could be, pure willpower, because now you're sitting there looking at something chasing you and you're like, I know it's not there. I know it's not there. Like,
I mean, that might still be your intelligence being able to process logically.
We
because
get
like
why
that's what I mean. Like the psychic spells, I do understand maybe why, because the psychic has to do with the brain and the mind, rather than necessarily just your resilience or force of will. Like, it's your ability to protect your mind. But I feel like a lot of the charm spells, like a lot of the mind control spells or whatever, or anything that literally is like, you're charmed. It's like, well, shouldn't you be able to better resist that kind of thing if you're particularly charismatic? Because that's literally the point of the charisma stat. Well, either way, we're going off on a bit of a tangent here. Yeah, but either way, you guys can all see the already kind of busted, broken, like, combinations and things you could do here that would just make this particular subclass a beefy one. Again, most people love Order of the Lycan. I'm a huge fan of the mutant, because I like this little thing. I like being able to be like, ooh, I can come up with all kinds of different little combinations and mixtures of things. Like, ooh, it gets my evil genius, mind kind of going.
I do like that some of these have the same negative, so in theory you could stack it and it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter. Like you can.
Like, let's just put it out there. If you have a support caster in your party, there are spells that can
help subvert or counteract this.
And that's outside of you using your ability to suppress the negatives. If you only have one encounter a day, you can suppress those negatives for the minute and you'll be fine. But if you have more than one, like if you have a druid or a cleric in your party, or someone with enhanced ability, like, you'll automatically, there's ways to get around it or make it less detrimental.
Yeah. And again, like Sam just said, not even including your partners or your team members supporting you. Like, you get an ability at level 7 at the same time when you get access to 2 mutagens at a time that allows you to temporarily ignore the negative side effects. So then at that point, your party members could then buff you, and then you would get even more crazy buffs on top of the fact you don't have any negatives anymore, and it's just passive. That's the biggest thing. These mutagens, they last until you take a short or long rest. They're just passive. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do it. You don't have a time limit. You don't have a whatever, except for, like, again, a short rest. But that only happens if you are deliberately resting, taking your time, and then or choosing to flush it out of your system.
And something that people don't realize is, like, if your party needs to take a short rest and you don't want to lose your mutagens, you don't have to.
You don't have to rest with them.
Which is nice, and I think some DMs forget that you have to choose to rest. And if I don't want to rest, I'm gonna go for a run. I don't care.
I'm gonna go for a run. I'm gonna start looking over stuff. Like, I don't need to rest. Nah.
So I think there's that. I do like the fact. I mean, we've talked about having purposeful negatives and thing, and I think that's fine. I think it's fun. Obviously, like,
absolutely. I think 100% none of these. It's just a balancing act.
There's a couple of negatives here that I wouldn't take no matter what. Things that reduce my speed or mess with my initiative are things I don't want to take.
I mean, some of them aren't worth the squeeze, right? Some of this juice isn't worth the squeeze, to be fair.
What I get versus what I have to give up is not worth it. Even if I take away the negative, it doesn't really matter.
There are clear superior choices in this list.
But I'm sure someone could figure out a way to make them annoying, with even the ones I don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
mean, again, that's the appeal. It's just it so much taps into your imagination, right? And that's
yeah.
what I love about it. But we'll move on again. We still got the last couple three more abilities as you increase in level. Starting at 11th level, you get the ability known as Brand of Axiom. Your mutagenic hemocraft lets your brand of castigation reveal a foe's true nature. Any illusion or invisibility in effect on a creature when you brand it ends, and the creature cannot benefit from invisibility or illusion effects while branded by you. If a creature branded by you is in an alternative form, by way of the polymorph spell, the change shape action, or shape changer trait, the wild shape feature, and similar effects, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or revert to its true form and be stunned until the end of your next turn. Whenever a branded creature attempts to alter its form, it must succeed on a wisdom save or have the attempt fail and be stunned until the end of your next turn.
Now,
So
this
this
brand is from their regular class, which is basically just like a hex of sorts,
brand
with
of castigation.
extra effects depending on which class you have. I like this. It's kind
This
of
is
nuts.
baller. Like this would be like a fucking
Rakshasa's worst nightmare.
well, potentially, unless he's in open direct fights, but I'm also gonna say a moon druid's nightmare.
Yeah,
Anytime, to be fair, moon druids would have super high wisdom save, to
doesn't
be
really
fair.
matter.
But you could technically also give them disadvantage with some of your other bloodhunter abilities and features, as well as other things. And so it's like, and again, if you choose intelligence for your magical, save attribute, and have your sagacity mutagen currently equipped, your save is not going to be small or inconsequential.
No.
So that being the case, it would literally, and the biggest thing here too is if they choose to do this, which they might have a decent shot at succeeding, but if they fail, not only do they not transform, but then they are stunned until the end of your next turn.
Which stun
meaning
is...
yeah, well, again, meaning they would lose out on a turn to try and attempt this. That's the biggest thing. That's what I love about this is that it gives you a legitimate like risk for if you fail, right? Like it's not like obviously you can have the risk of like, I tried it, didn't work. All right, well at least I still have my own like defenses. This is like you fail this, you're stunned, meaning they got advantage on you. You can't move. You can still react. Technically, I think you can still take reactions, or maybe not.
No,
I
you
think.
can't.
Never mind. Then yeah, hang on. Stand. Stun creature can't move. Creature automatically fails. Oh, it doesn't specifically say. A stun creature is incapacitated,
which means you can't. Take
reactions. Actions or reactions. You're right. Yeah. So if they're incapacitated, then you are kind of well and truly just screwed right there. And that's great right there, right? So it's like, and your brand of castigation will already be doing other effects, giving you like increased damage and other stuff along the way. So this is great for, again, monsters and creatures that like to shapeshift or change, like again, like freaking mimics. This is a mimic's worst nightmare. Specifically, like Sam said, Rakshasa, even freaking like dragons, though I don't know why they would be trying to shape shift after they came out of their original form, because their normal form is just their strongest anyway at that point. But plenty of other like oozes and things like that, like they will not be able to transform, trick you, or use any of that bonuses for that.
Well, I mean, this also can be used if a creature is trying to escape and shape change.
Yep. Like they won't, again, doppelgangers can't do it. Changelings can't do it. Like you would be able to track them as well as keep them from hiding, and then everybody would see them. Great ability. Next up at level 15, you get Blood Curse of Corrosion. Your Blood Curse can infuse a creature's body with terrible toxins, and you gain the Blood Curse of Corrosion for your Blood Maledict feature. This does not count against your number of Blood Curses known. So again, obviously, as it shows right there, like you have Blood Curses for your normal Bloodhunter, just your higher Bloodhunter thing. Most of the subclasses for Bloodhunter give them like a special personal like Blood Hunter curse that you can apply or whatever, or blood curse that you can apply. Let me see real quick. Can we?
I found it.
Yeah.
As a bonus action, you cause a creature within 30 feet of you to become poisoned. The creature can make a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the curse on itself on a success. If you amplify it, the cursed creature takes 4d6 necrotic damage when it inflicts this curse, which there is no save on that.
Nope.
I believe. And takes
you
this
just
damage
take
again.
more. You just take damage as the trade-off.
Yeah. But yeah, it should work. It sounds interesting.
I mean, once again, consider once more. To be fair, you have to be at the 15th level for this, and at that point, your sagacity mutagen that you should probably just have this whole time would be increased to a +4. I would hope your intelligence is already going to be pretty high at that point too, if not potentially a 20. So you'd already have 24 intelligence for your save. They don't make a save at the start. You cause them to become poisoned instantly. And then at the end of each of their turns, then they can make a con save to end the effect. So, like, obviously, to be fair, at that level, you're probably going to find a lot of shit that might be immune to poison or be immune to being poisoned as well. So are you, which is great, even like earlier on. But you can also just forcibly make them take 46 necrotic damage, and then they take it again each time they fail the saving throw.
But if they're immune to poison, it doesn't matter. There is no saving throw.
No. Well, but if they're not immune to the poison condition, though, that's the thing.
But most people that are immune to the poison damage
usually. Are immune to poison. But there's also plenty of things that aren't. So if you literally amplify the curse, they are not only poisoned, meaning that they have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, but they also are just going to take 46 passive damage. And it's not a concentration thing. You don't have to hold concentration for this. They just take that damage every time they fail. And you can potentially give them disadvantage to make it even more likely that they will fail at this thing. Like, that's a great additional blood curse. And because, again, it's just more passive stuff. That's what I love about this class. And that's why I think it's another aspect we've talked about with abilities. Anything that's just a passive buff that you can utilize. Like, to be fair, it does take a resource to use this more than just a bonus. Like your blood maledict, you only usually have your blood curse like 1 or 2, maybe 3 times max at higher level maximum. But still, that makes it so worth it because, again, you use that limited resource and it's just passive then until they make the save. So you could potentially rack up a pretty decent amount of damage that whole time. Now we're going to get to the final 18th level capstone ability for the subclass, which is known as Exalted Mutation. Your body has adapted to produce mutagens naturally in a moment of need. As a bonus action, choose one mutagen currently affecting you. Its effects and side effects end, and you can immediately have a mutagen you know the formula for take effect in its place. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Hemocraft modifier, which at this point would be pretty high at 18th level. Especially if you have a particular mutagen equipped. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. See, that's kind of just crazy right there. You can literally just swap in and out mutagen effects like as you want. Yeah. Again, at 18th level, you would have a total, I believe, of 8. Of 8 formulas that you know. So you can only have 3 active at a time, but you have 8 formulas, which is a large amount of this list right here. So again, you could instantly, if you're fighting an individual who uses, fire-based attacks or cold-based attacks, or uses more bludgeoning or slashing or piercing, you can instantly swap one of the things out that you maybe already have equipped for something that is more directly helpful in this situation. So yeah, that I believe in essence is the totality of Bloodhunter Order of the Mutant. We didn't actually go over obviously all the different mutagens, but feel free to look over that list yourself. We went over again, probably all the best and all the best. Like even with those ones that we went over, they're phenomenal. This is a great subclass. It's super fun. It's super, again, like the versatility, the flexibility, the diversity that it encompasses and offers is incredible. It's so much fun. I love being able to come up with a bit of a twist, again, specifically with my Warforged mutant. Because obviously as a Warforged, he is a construct. He doesn't have like, organic, stuff and things like that. And so I was like, I liked my flavor change of like, instead of it being an organic substance that he like consumes, it's more so he can reallocate, protocols, energy, and processes to other processes, aspects, or parts to boost those things temporarily at the cost of, again, having less energy or processing power in other areas. And so, like, do things like that all the time. You know what I mean? When you can, like, reflavor shit or, like, you know, retexture shit that has the same basic effect and principle, but it just looks different. That's great. You know, don't like rip shit off, of course, and pass it off. Like, it's specifically should be used with honor and, you know, decency and consideration. But things like that, where it's like, hey, that is a cool little twist, and this thing offers so many different aspects to it. But there you go, everybody. That is our take on the Bloodhunter Order of the Mutants. Sammy, would you like to go ahead and take it from here with your first choice for today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rune Knight from the fighter class.
Yeah, Rune Knight is cool.
This one is honestly kind of similar to what we just talked about. It's not necessarily about the flashy picks. It's these passives that you gain along with it.
Yep.
Rune Knight. Let's see. Rune Knights enhance their martial prowess using the supernatural power of runes, an ancient practice that originated with giants. Rune cutters can be found among any family of giants, and you likely learned your methods first or second hand from such a mystical artisan. Whether you found the giant's work to carve into a hill or cave, learned of the runes from a sage, or met the giant in person, you studied the giant's craft and learned how to apply magic runes to empower your equipment. Now, the reason I like this is because fighters are, for the most part, kind of looked at as basic in terms of certain, like, self-buffing or magic, or just
they're a literal one hit or at max level 4-hit wonders. You know what I mean? Like, that's how a lot of people view fighters. They're like basic ass basic. Like
Battle Master, Cavalier Champion, Purple Dragon Knight, Samurai, and Gunslinger. They're all basically just, I hit this thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain abilities and things that they get that nobody else does, and that's why we like fighter. At least that's why I like fighter.
That's why I love fighter too.
Like Cavalier is one of those ones where, holy crap, if they're on a horse,
if they have the right situation and
if they have a flying horse,
they can bust. If they have a Pegasus or a Griffin,
yeah. But Rune Knight is one of those that I think differentiates itself in the fact that there is a theme of magic, whether that's actual arcane magic or, in this case, an ancient untold rune magic that not a lot of people know of. So when you take the class at 3rd level, you gain a proficiency with smith tools, and you learn to speak, read, and write giant. Now, if you're me, you'd already know how to read and write giant, but for the sake of this,
likes to take giant just
for this because. No, but like, if you're planning out a character's backstory, they already knew giant. But
yeah, but you don't have to do that because this is technically part of their backstory anyway.
So I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I would just say you've studied giant, but you don't know it yet. Whatever. Yeah. Or you have a cool DM who lets you just change the language out. Because you should be able to. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter.
Also, you get Rune Carver. You can use magic runes to enhance your gear. You learn 2 runes of your choice from among the runes described below, and each time you gain a level in this class, you can replace one rune you know with a different one from this feature. When you reach certain levels in this class, you learn additional runes as shown in the runes known table below. So at 3rd level you have 2, at 7th level you have 3, at 10th level you have 4, and at 15th level you have 5. When you finish a long rest, you can touch a number of objects equal to the number of runes you know, and inscribe a different rune onto each of the objects. To be eligible, an object must be a weapon, suit of armor, a shield, a piece of jewelry, or something else you can wear or hold in a hand. Your rune remains on the object until you finish a long rest, and an object can bear only one of your runes at a time. Now, for me personally, I'm not against allowing someone to say, one, you can inscribe runes on already magic items, because it doesn't specify whether you can or not.
It doesn't say non-magical.
Second,
it just says object.
I'm not against someone being like, well, I would put it on an item, but I'm carrying a sword and a shield and I already have runes on those. Can I put it on, like, my gauntlets? Sure. I understand that by rules as written, the armor suit is one piece. Although you can wear a suit of armor but have gauntlets of ogre power.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not always technically true.
You know, so
like, if we're going by artificer rules, suit of armor usually is chest.
Artificer is supposed to be kind of its own thing. So
I take that brevity
and I bring it here because it just makes more sense. it doesn't really change anything. It just changes flavor. That's all it does.
It just says something else you can wear or hold in a hand. So, technically speaking,
it could be your gauntlets. Hell, it could be a bracelet. Which again, like,
it says jewelry.
Imagine some dude comes up here rocking like full heavy armor. There's a giant rune carved on his crest. Both of his sword and shield are just fucking glowing. And then he's like, "Oh, by the way," and he like palm fucking strikes you with a bracelet that just explodes. Like, I don't know. You might as well. The following runes, let's see. We're going to list over some of the runes. Some of them have level requirements, and you must be the level in that class to learn the rune. If the rune requires a saving throw, the rune magic save DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your con mod, which is my favorite part about this class.
It
means to your constitution. You don't have to push yourself into a weird other random stat. You just don't full con.
It does not rely on mental stats. It's your physical stat, which you should already be. You should be doing con anyways as a fighter. Yeah. That is a huge thing.
We're gonna go over some of the runes here, because there really aren't that many.
Just all the giants.
Yep. There is the cloud rune. This rune emulates the deceptive magic used by some cloud giants. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on dexterity sleight of hand checks and charisma deception checks. In addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and choose a different creature within 30 feet of you, other than the attacker. The chosen creature becomes the target of the attack using the same roll. This magic can transfer the attack's effects regardless of the attack's range. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. This is kind of a get out of jail fuck you card.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's, again, the one thing I will say about these is some of these have like one use per rest, which is unfortunate.
It's kind of, that is the one downside.
The one downside. You have to choose your moments, which I do actually appreciate that as someone who enjoys strategy. But it also is nice to just be able to do a bunch of shit all the time.
At least a little bit, or at least have. I would like it, like, for instance, like I would like if it wasn't necessarily just a one and done. Like, I wish it was like, oh, your proficiency bonus, like, you know, as you get higher, like you get a little bit more, or like your con modifier, like
something
that gives you a little bit more bang for your buck. Because again, having this, and again, I have been playing a rune knight a little bit. Like, it's in one of the campaigns I'm a part of. We basically were able to get like almost like side characters kind of, and I made a rune knight fighter specifically because I was very curious and I liked the class. And it's like I've definitely noticed that a decent amount of these are like they're you know, you got to pop them and then you got to wait a while to use them. So they are really like choose your moments, and that's the one negative aspect I've felt, because it's like I wish they were just more, you had more uses of it.
I think, you know, what I will say about this is a lot of these also just have passive effects. Actually, all of them have a passive effect. Whether you hold those passive effects in high regard is up to you.
They do. They give you advantage on a lot of stuff.
Some of them I think are good. Some of them I think are negligible unless you bring that into the campaign. But I like the fact that it's not necessarily just about some sort of active ability where you do damage. Let's go over them and you'll see what I mean a little bit more. The fire rune. This rune's magic channels the masterful craftsmanship of great smiths, being the fire giants. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses your proficiency with a tool. Now, you would assume smith's tools, but technically, with your background, you can get other tool proficiencies, so you could be some sort of weird master craftsman, which I love, because again, fighters, they don't get stuff like this. If you want to play a fighter, but you don't like the fact that half the time your class doesn't do anything outside of combat, here you are. In addition, when you hit a creature with an attack using a weapon, you can invoke the rune to summon fiery shackles. The target takes an extra 2d6 fire damage, and it must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained for 1 minute. While restrained by the shackles, the target takes 2d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, banishing the shackles on a success. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. This is basically heat metal, but with the restrained feature instead of the possibly dropping your weapon feature. Yep. I like this. I understand, again, short or long rest, but still, short rest is still better than nothing.
Yeah.
And if you have a warlock in the party, you're going to be able to use these.
Or, you know, or a bloodhunter of the mutants, you know. I mean,
but again,
this one still is also though a little bit more bang for your buck because of like, the ability it can inflict, which is nice. Where it's like, yeah.
Let's see. The Frost Rune is the next one. It invokes the might of those who survive in the, wow, this is great writing, wintry wilderness, such as frost giants. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on
we
wisdom
love alliteration, bro. We love alliteration.
I do, yeah. You have advantage on wisdom animal handling checks and charisma intimidation checks. Yeah, because alliteration doesn't completely mess up any kind of pronunciation I have. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to increase your sturdiness. For 10 minutes, you gain a +2 to all ability checks and saving throws that use strength or con. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. This is cool. I mean, like, is it?
It's not. It's
super applicable. No,
but more, it's more situational. But I do like the fact again, it at least has a longer duration for it. It's like it's 10 minutes, and so obviously, once again, this is if you're literally fighting in a wintry wilderness against white dragons or against silver dragons or frost giants or whatever other yetis.
Dude, having an extra bonus to strength and con saving throws is still, I mean, that's still good.
And it's all ability checks too. So again, there are no ability checks that use con, technically speaking, but athletics checks, you get a plus to your athletics checks.
We love athletics checks. If you want to be a grappler,
absolutely grapple it up, or if you gotta climb like a big tall wall that's got like ice and snow. Want to pop that bad boy right there, and then take a short rest in like a cave somewhere real quick to get it back. You know what I mean? Why the hell not?
Let's see. This one I like a lot as well. Stone Rune. This rune's magic channels the judiciousness associated with stone giants.
Very well done. See, you did it.
You have to be hearing me like mess up half of these words. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on wisdom insight checks, and you have dark vision out to a range of 120 feet. Yes.
That's great.
In addition, when a creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and force the creature to make a wisdom saving throw. Unless the save succeeds, the creature is charmed by you for 1 minute. While charmed in this way, the creature has a speed of 0 and is incapacitated, descending into a dreamy stupor. The creature repeats the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on its success. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do it again until you finish short or long rest. Just the passive on this
is phenomenal.
I will take it.
Yeah. This should be the first rune you take.
Yeah. Unless you don't need dark vision. I could make an argument if you don't need dark vision, you don't have to take it. But like if you're me and you're gonna play like a human or someone who doesn't have dark vision, I'm 100% taking.
Well, here's the thing, though. It still technically increases your dark vision by 60 feet, though. So it's like, even if you do have dark vision, you still get a bonus 60 feet. As well as, honestly, I would even say it's still worth it, even with just getting advantage on insight checks.
Yeah,
like that alone is phenomenal.
And what this is doing is because you don't have to put stats into anything mental, because you just focus on like strength and con, you can bump up, say maybe your wisdom or your intelligence, as opposed to having to bump up a couple different things or kind of like spread it out. But a lot of these passives give you advantage on certain checks, and
most of them are also wisdom based too. Yeah, so your next stat probably should be wisdom because it gives most of this bolsters your wisdom abilities. Yeah. So
now we're getting into the seventh level or higher runes. There's 2 of them. This is the Hill Rune. While wearing or carrying an object that bears this rune, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance to poison damage, which is eh. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action, gaining resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing for 1 minute. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. That is good.
That's a barbarian rage.
Yeah.
It's a barbarian rage.
Yeah, and it's just, again, some people are like, well, it's just for a minute, it's just once. Like, but you technically could do it more than once a day if you get a short rest in.
If you get a short rest.
Look, resistance makes a difference.
Absolutely it does, especially for a fighter. Again, you're gonna have, and with this type of fighter, you're gonna have high con. And so literally having resistance just essentially doubles your hit points, basically, too. Like, so it's like that, that's something to sneeze at. Again, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. You have resistance to poison damage.
It might help.
That's decent. It's again, there's not like a shit, unless you're doing a very specific kind of campaign, there's not a shit ton of things that do
No, but
poison per se, but that can still help.
I've noticed that poison is one of those things that like you don't think you need it until you get poisoned, and then you're
exactly.
like, shit.
And then you're like, this is not fun. I don't like this at all.
And for the last rune, I like this one a lot as well. It's the storm rune. Using this rune, you can glimpse the future like a storm giant seer. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on intelligence arcana checks, and you can't be surprised as long as you aren't incapacitated. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to enter a prophetic state for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. Until the state ends, when you or another creature you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, a saving throw, or an ability check, you can use your reaction to cause the roll to have advantage or disadvantage. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish your long rest. That's a minute of any time your strongest person, including yourself, has an attack, you can just give it advantage.
Yeah.
Now, if you're me and you have a rogue on your team, every turn, it's like, hey, bud. Woo! Like,
Yeah, for 1 full minute. And again,
hey,
most combat encounters usually don't last longer than 10 rounds.
Now, or you could be a selfish bastard like me and
just only use it
for yourself, or only use it to make the thing that's hitting you have disadvantage every turn.
Just to fuck with them. Like, again, a counterpoint, if you have a rogue who's attacking you, disadvantage. They can never get sneak attack. They could never get sneak attack on you. You could take away their most powerful ability. They could never get sneak attack on you.
Yeah, it's a good one. Now we're gonna go into the actual not rune features of this class. At 3rd level,
the actual subclass features.
You get Giant's Might. You have learned how to imbue yourself with the might of giants. As a bonus action, you magically gain the following benefits, which last for a minute. If you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you are wearing. If you lack the room to become large, your size doesn't change. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. On each of your turns, one of your attacks with a weapon or unarmed strike can deal an extra 1d6 to a target on hit. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest.
This is great. You're going to be using this the whole time. Like, literally in the game we're playing, we literally use as a feature, and it gets even better at higher levels.
It gets better.
But we literally were able to make the character that I was playing. We got him to like colossal size because we had a druid and a wizard, plus also a potion of growth.
Yeah, there you
go.
So
you could increase your size to large, have the wizard or druid cast enlarge on you, which makes you huge, and then gargantuan if they do it again. And then you take the potion of growth and you become colossal.
Well, you can skip one of those. You can skip one of those steps later on.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get to higher levels, it's kind of crazy.
But next up is Runic Shield. At 7th level, you learn to invoke your runic magic to protect your allies. When another creature you can see within 60 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to force the attacker to re-roll the d20 and use the new roll. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's, again, now you're inflicting kind of disadvantage. Because your new roll could be better, which sucks. That's a sucky thing, but
it could be good or worse. It's
like, the reality is, if they roll high and they're going to hit, you just have to hope you don't roll a crit.
Yeah.
And if you're Adam, you won't. So this sounds like a good class for you.
It really is. Like, this would work well. Like, so it's like, that's like, and especially if they roll a crit, it's like, what better time to use it than then, right? Because
this is the dumbest ability, this next one, which is also my favorite. Great Stature at 10th level. The magic of your runes permanently alters you. When you gain this feature, roll 3d4. You grow a number of inches in height equal to the roll. Now, that's not really the part that matters. The other part is, moreover, because the extra
they had to give you something mechanically.
The extra damage you deal with your Giant's Might feature increases to 1d8.
So instead of 1d6, you get 1d8, which, but hey, growing a number of inches, by 3d4.
You could be really funny with it and be like a normal size halfling.
You could grow 16 inches. You know what I mean? That's
just, a foot and a third. That's pretty good.
It's like that's like I think my
Or
guy.
technically, you could grow 3 inches.
Yeah, you can only grow 3, so it's like hey, you get a little something. You can grow 5'7". Now you're 6 feet, dude. That's huge. That's huge.
A lot of us wanted that.
Exactly.
You'd be 5'10", not 6 feet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
Which would be really funny is if you grew 3 inches and you're still just kind of an unfortunate height.
You have to be 5'9", and then you become 6 feet.
At 15th level, you have Master of Runes. You can invoke each rune you know from your rune carver feature twice rather than once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short or long rest. This is huge. This takes...
You get 2. Everybody gets 2.
At 15th level, you have 5 of the runes, which means you would technically have 10 uses total. Each one can only be used twice, but still, that's huge.
Yeah.
There's another fighting class which I wish had something like this. Cough, cough, Arcane Archer, cough, cough.
We're gonna have to talk about that one at a different time too.
I was thinking of doing that today, but I realized I'd be double dipping on fighter, and I feel like
we want to diversify here. We're all about the diversity here.
Lastly, at 18th level, you learn how to amplify your rune-powered transformation. As a result, the extra damage you deal with the Giant's Might feature increases to 1d10. Moreover, when you use that feature, your size can increase to huge. And while you are that size, your reach increases by 5 feet. Now, here's where it gets nutty: is when you have a wizard and a potion,
and a druid and a potion.
But the reality is, our enlarge doesn't stack though, does it?
Technically, I think it can. I don't know if the spell specifically says that you can't. Let me just check.
Well, either way, you're huge. Sure. You're shadow boxing with a giant.
You're a huge creature, and then they could technically enlarge you to be gargantuan at the very least. Like I don't see,
which is funny because you could raffle some a city. Although you could also grapple a dragon.
Yep. You could literally grapple a gargant. You could grapple an ancient red dragon.
Even without, if you're still just huge, you could grapple a dragon.
Yep.
An adult dragon. Which sounds like, oh, that's whatever. Like that's nothing. I mean, it's pretty good. If you have a 20 strength, you take.
The spell doesn't say anything about. Cool. Yeah, you can. It doesn't say anything about layering it or no.
Well, yeah, so you can get to colossal then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We were able to get my character to colossal with all of that shit.
Which means you could use a castle like a catapult.
Potentially. I mean, you would be on the lower end of colossal, obviously. Like you would because again, literally the spell for enlarge is you double the size.
Yeah.
Of the creature. Like it specifically says the target size doubles in all dimension and its weight is multiplied by 8. So if you do this, you're already a huge creature, meaning you're at least 20 feet tall, at least, or 15? Is it 15 feet?
I don't know.
I think technically the minimum for huge is 15.
Is there
because it's there's an actual size chart. D&D 5e size chart.
Oh, size.
Yeah, so giant. Yeah, because storm giants are technically huge, and they're they're 26 feet. So I guess 30 feet would be gargantuan then, I think. Because I don't think storm giants are considered gargantuan.
Okay, so tiny is 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. Small is 5 by 5. Medium is 5 by 5. Huge is 15 by 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say huge is technically considered anything 16 to 32 feet. Apparently, gargantuan is 32 to 64, and colossal is 64 or more.
Oh.
This is I'm going off of the SRD table of creature size and scale on fandom, but that's apparently so. You could, so if we're technically going say as you're probably what as a medium creature, you'd be at most 7 feet. Hang on, medium 8 feet. You could be at most 8 feet tall. Most people aren't really that. If you're maybe if you're a freaking dragonborn or a Goliath. So we'll say
if you're a big person too, and you get a good roll on your.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I was or I made my dude. He's just a human fighter, but he was still at least like 6'5" or something. And so like with that, you become, let's say, huge, right? 16 to 30 feet. So technically speaking, if you're 6'5", you would probably just go up to the lower of that amount, I would assume. So you'd probably be anyway. You'd probably be like,
well, so like a kraken or a purple worm are gargantuan.
Yeah,
they're 20 feet by 20 feet or larger.
Yeah. So then, like, so to that's how it works with the thing. So same thing for like, colossal. So gargant, like, yeah, I guess it depends on how, like, what you're specifically looking at. Because obviously this is also including colossal, because 5e doesn't technically include colossal as a size, which in my opinion is weird. Like they're just like, it's gargantuan if it's 20 feet or bigger, but it's like, well,
that's not really helpful.
No. So although, again, I feel like this particular table is a little bit more accurate. Like gargantuan is anything 32 feet to 64 feet. And then colossal is 64 or more. So, because I guess you could also say, again, for instance, like there are things that are longer rather than taller.
Well, they're also, it's just going by the amount of squares they take up on a battle map.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, which makes it easier and more streamlined to run, of course, which makes sense. Because it's also like, technically speaking, it's not even like a fucking medium creature takes up their entire 5-foot square at that either. Like that's the whole point, where it's like you can move in those squares a certain amount. Like it's just like it is the area or territory that you control or you can cover.
Theoretically, if you got to gargantuan side, you had a friend, or you're a Durgar.
Yep.
And you got up to gargantuan, whether that was via a friend or yourself. You could tussle with very large monsters in such a way that no one else could.
Nope. You could do all kinds of crazy. You could suplex giant monsters,
like a dragon or a giant or stuff like that.
Yeah, or a purple worm,
which is great. You could use a purple worm like a party favor.
They most likely couldn't swallow you either. Like the purple worm couldn't swallow you.
No.
Like you could literally just shove your fist like down its throat and like smash it, like you could literally cat fist that thing, fist. You could catfish fist that thing.
Yeah, and like
alliteration.
I think there's I know we're on a roll. I think some DMs maybe won't respect that.
They're lame. They won't.
I know that the two of us are in agreement that if you get big enough, you can do a lot of shit with
You can do a lot of dope shit with that. Like, why? Because again, when else are you really gonna have the opportunity? Come on, man. You gotta let it go. If you're gonna let it get to this proportion, literally and figuratively, you gotta let the shit kind of go where it's gonna go.
It's obviously part of their advantage is if you're fighting them in the open field and you let them get that big, then there's an advantage there.
They have a potion of growth. They have 2 friends that can cast enlarge on them at the same time.
They can make themselves huge. Like that's already a threat. Like a fire giant.
And their range increases by 5 feet. You know what? I do like that though. I like the fact that they increase your range. I still feel like being large should increase your range too.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily. My what I will say is if you get up to gargantuan, your range is 15 feet. Like
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Like, it would just
there's no reason not to. Like you are bigger and like, but again, you're not necessarily like longer. You're taller, but you also have your weapons get bigger, grow as well. Exactly. Your equipment grows with you. So there's no reason why you can't just like.
This is also the class that those giant weapons that you can get that are too big for normal people to use. This is the perfect class for that.
You can use Gert's Great Axe at that point, bro. That would be insane. We love Gert's Great Axe here, dude. That's amazing.
But, that's kind of where this ends. Without that level 15 feature, this class is a little bit stuck. A little bit kind of like, when am I going to use this? Again, am I using it at the right time? But at the same time, like you have to learn yourself when to use things.
And that's the thing. Like if I was more dedicated to this class in the game that I'm playing, I definitely feel like I would use this more often because, like, again, you get it back at a short rest.
Yeah.
And most encounters, to be fair, your GM doesn't, especially considering how long an encounter can take, your GM might not run like multiple consecutive encounters. Like that's the thing. You have to be aware.
This is kind of the issue with like a lot of people who don't play spellcasters often, and then by the time they play a spellcaster, they're afraid to use their spells because then once they use them, they don't have them. If you keep too many things in your back pocket, you don't have anything to use to begin with. And that's
or you didn't use them.
That's just something you have to learn. It may
you gotta feel it out, you know?
Yeah, you have to feel it out. And there's the right time and the wrong time to use some of these features, and that's something that you have to learn.
And it's and regardless of how much you try, sometimes you're gonna blow your load a little too soon. It happens, you know what I mean?
Or the opposite. Sometimes you're gonna go to bed with too much in your
and you never used it. You missed the perfect opportunity, which was just like, oh hey, I'm gonna save this for like a really bad, evil dope clutch moment. And that moment never arrived, and you're just like, oh well, I guess I never got to use my cool shit that I had then. So it's just you gotta. I would definitely say you should probably approach it more with the mentality of try, right? Use that shit because then you have the moment to use it. Like it's nice to kind of keep something in your back pocket for when you really need it. But a lot of the time, too, in my experience, it definitely is like, don't be afraid to use your shit.
Yeah, like that first one. If you pick up the Cloud Giant rune.
Yeah,
and it's the one where it's like, well, if you go to hit me, no, you're hitting your buddy, and there's no save on that.
Yeah, just happens.
I think that's one that if I took it, I'd keep it.
Yeah,
until it is that pivotal
until
moment
you
where
really need to.
It's either me or you, stuff like that. I think that is a pivotal moment, but again, most of these other ones, like you should be using them as often as possible.
Yeah. If you got a particularly like strong dude, hit him with that stone rune ability to try and charm them and send them into a stupor. You know what I mean? Like if you have like a multiple dudes, especially if you can just like incapacitate a dude for a bit, like that's great, especially for large crowds. You take away their action economy. And we love that. But this class, phenomenal. Like it's super cool, super fun. I have been enjoying using it, even though it's been to a much like less, more muted extent, because again, the character is more of like a side assisted character for like certain encounters. But it's definitely cool. Like again, it doesn't have a lot of, ironically, still fitting the mold of the fighter. It doesn't have a lot of large, flashy, shiny aspects to it. But it's got a lot of cool, reliable things too. Like obviously the biggest thing would be the size change, right? Your Giant's Might ability. And then like
your extra
the bonuses,
every attack is...
you literally become a giant. You become gianter than a giant. It's dope. It's cool. You should definitely be using that all the time, which I have. Like I have consistently used that constantly. And it's a cool thing. Perfect. All right. Anything else you want to add to that at all, Sammy?
No, I wanted to play one so bad, and I haven't been able to yet. And,
they're fun. I can definitely say I have been enjoying using him too when I get the chance. So they are a lot of fun and really cool. All right, perfect. With that, we'll move right on then to my second pick of the day, and we're going to head back to school, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. We're heading back to the good old fan favorite wizard class, specifically the School of Conjuration. That's right. We've talked, I believe, a little bit about these in the past, but we're going to get into a bit more depth this time around. So, Wizard School of Conjuration. As a conjurer, you favor spells that produce objects and creatures out of thin air. You can conjure billowing clouds of killing fog or summon creatures from elsewhere to fight on your behalf. As your mastery grows, you learn spells of transportation and can teleport yourself across vast distances and even to other planes of existence in an instant. The first ability you get when you take this subclass at level 2 is Conjuration Savant. This is the same thing as almost every other wizard school. You just get the corresponding school with Savant, Divination Savant, Evocation Savant. Basically, when you select the school, you can use your action to conjure up. I'm sorry, no, not that one. When you select the school at second level, the gold and time you must spend to copy your conjuration spell into your spellbook is halved. So any specific conjuration spell that you can find, you will have to spend half the amount of time in gold to copy it into your spell book. So that, that's kind of how they all go. They're all themed. It can be nice if you're going for that kind of stuff. But the other ability you get at level 2 as well is known as Minor Conjuration, When you select this school at level 2, you can use your action to conjure up an inanimate object in your hand or on the ground in an unoccupied space that you can see within 10 feet of you. This object can be no larger than 3 feet on a side and weigh no more than 10 pounds, and its form must be that of a non-magical object that you have seen before. The object is visibly magical, radiating dim light out to 5 feet. The object disappears after 1 hour when you use this feature again, or if it takes or deals any damage. So, I mean, it's not terrible. It's a little bit difficult to come up with actual situations where this could maybe truly be applicable. Maybe if you're trying to deceive a shop owner into believing like an item is like, you know, more valuable or powerful than it actually is, because it is clearly magical, because it literally is radiating dim light out to 5 feet. You could use this as a source of light if you're like a human or any other class or any other race doesn't have dark vision. But you know, it's like a little, you know, a thing that can kind of, you know, you could make it's no longer than 3 feet on a side. You could make I think you could make a chair. You could conjure a chair, I think. But technically would work, you know, a stool.
A quill?
Yeah, you could conjure a quill. And it's real, so you can use it. That's, you know, it's an action. It costs your action to do it.
I don't know what the point of this is.
I feel like it's, you know, it's like a prestidigitation thing where you can just conjure things. You know, you can conjure like you could it doesn't say anything about a gold cost, so you could conjure like a really big coin, a really big like gold coin that glows.
The problem is that they can't weigh more than 10 pounds. So
yeah. So I mean,
my original thought was like, oh, just get like a big heavy thing, conjure it above somebody, and then it falls and it hits them. But you can't even do something more than 10 pounds, so it's not going to do anything anyway.
I mean, 10 pounds isn't something to sneeze at, especially if you drop it from a high.
But you
place.
Can't drop, I guess. But
well, no, okay. Here's the
thing. Within 10
feet. You conjure a thing. You use your mage hand that can hold 10 pounds. Fly it up,
isn't it?
No, it's 10 pounds. You can fly it up, you know, 30 feet in the air and drop it down on somebody's head. That could be something. Like, yeah, I think that works. Let's see real quick. Mage hand. There it is.
Yeah, 10 pounds.
Yeah, it's 10 pounds. The item, you can't attack or activate magical items, but it can carry, you know, 10 pounds. So you can do that.
Okay.
Drop a 10-pound anvil or a block, you know, a solid stone block, 10 pounds, you know, that could hurt. That could hurt. Or
you might as well just cast a spell, yeah.
I mean,
like,
but what if you want to do a Looney Tunes kind of thing? And what if you're trying to be sneaky? You know, you can just like, because it doesn't say you need any, you don't need to do any components for it. You can just do it. You know, I
guess in reality, this can be something like, oh, you're walking in a rainy city and you don't have an umbrella. Ooh, umbrella. Ooh, cloak. I mean, you could. It
can be no longer than 3 feet on a side. So I mean, like, I don't know, like. So it's like you could, okay. Say like a door is closing down on you and you're being sealed in a room. You could conjure like again like iron. You could conjure like, you know, 10-foot or not 10-foot, 10-pound, you know, thing of iron that you can put underneath the door to keep it from closing all the way. You know, you could do that. You know, I think because it doesn't say anything about like the material. It just can't be larger than 3 feet on the side and weigh more than 10 pounds. So it's like, you know, you could conjure that, and because if you conjure a denser material than like whatever the material of the wall or the door is, like it won't be able to break the thing you conjured.
Yeah, but the denser the material, the more it weighs.
Yeah, I know. So, but I mean, it'll be smaller, but like that would still at least give you like, you know, something. You could use the same material, and then it would, you know, maybe there are certain things that could be done with this. Maybe it would just require a lot of real life research and science to be like, okay,
which that
does
doesn't necessarily
this work?
apply in a fantasy world.
Not necessarily.
Here's my issue with this. Is that I know for a fact, similar to prestidigitation, there are going to be tables who are not reading, and this can do a lot more than it's supposed to.
Yeah,
different problem.
It very much could.
If you treat this like it's basically a better prestidigitation, then it's fine. You know, similar to the College of Creation, and the Forge Cleric,
Domain Cleric. Yeah,
there's bits that they're not. Is it really applicable? No, but like you could go to any bar, and if all of their glasses break, you could just pull a mug out of thin air.
For an hour, but you
could just redo it. There's nothing that says you can't just redo it. So it's like, because there's no limit to it.
The object disappears after 1 hour.
Yes, or when you use the feature again. But
or if it deals, it takes any damage.
There's no limit to it. So like, oh, you finish your beer. Here's a new one. Like you just go like this, it disappears, and you pull another one out. You know, it doesn't. It's more for like flavor than anything else, and I think that's fine for.
No, it's absolutely flavor. There's almost no mechanical aspect that you. Again, there might be some if your GM is like merciful and generous to maybe allow you to kind of do certain things. Like again, if you're clever. And like I mean. Okay, an object like that's like it's non-magical, and okay, that's another issue. Its form must be that of a non-magical object that you have seen before. So you had to have seen this thing at some point. So I mean, the question being is, okay, if you've seen like metal, if you've seen iron, if you've seen mithril, if you've seen whatever, like, does that mean then you can conjure an object made of mithril in any shape, or do you have to have seen the shape specifically?
I like, because if you can only conjure exact things you've seen,
that's what I'm saying. That limits it even more.
I don't see why you couldn't be like, well, I've seen a candelabra made out of tin or pewter, so why can't I make one out of iron? Although that's more into transmutations realm of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the thing. It's like, but again,
okay.
At my example, conversely, if you have seen an object made of mithril, it's like, then why can't you just make any like mithril just in any different shape? Like if because again, it specifically says object, like, and so it's like, okay, if I've seen a cube, a glass cube, or if I've seen just a wooden cube. Can I make a cube out of any material like that I want? Because it's still technically a cube.
Well, you'd have to have seen the material as well. So, okay, look, for my, if I was running it and you came and you're like, well, I've seen a box. Can I make a small box out of this? And I'd be like, have you seen the thing? Yeah. Oh, then yeah, fuck it. Why not? Nothing you're going to come up with here is going to be game changing. I'm sorry.
I mean, it could be, but
no offense. If you want to bring out the science side of things, the density of a 3 foot by 3 foot wooden box is not the same as a mithril box, which means if you tried to do that, it would outweigh 10 pounds, and I'd say no. So what you're going to get is a 1 foot or like half a foot box of mithril, because if it's solid mithril. The moment, like, have you seen like those solid tungsten cubes?
Yeah,
they're like this big, and they're like 25 pounds. That's not even a foot.
They're like, heavy. Like it's
So you're the 10-pound limitation is huge.
Yeah,
because people don't even realize, like, oh, I make a 3 foot sword, man. Like that's more than 10 pounds, dude.
That could. Well, again, if it's like 3 feet, and if it's like solid steel, and then like the hilt is also metal or iron or what, like
that's already more than 10 pounds.
That shit is heavy.
That shit
cane?
A wooden cane? That's not 10 pounds, but the reality
is but it can only be 3 feet though. So it would be like, I mean, it could still like
cane for a short person. What do you
Well, I mean, technically that would be too high for them. No, 3 feet would be too high for like
Oh, you don't have to make it 3 feet.
No, you don't have to. I'm just saying, it's a maximum of 3 feet.
You're being very heightist
I guess it would be half like the height of like
it's a cane for it's a cane for swag, not a cane for actual.
I mean, fair enough. I'm just saying, like, like, I mean, could you maybe make a sword cane then, maybe, like, because the sword canes are usually pretty damn light. Like, they're not heavy at all. Like, that's the point of them. They're supposed to be lighter and like, concealed kind of thing.
I mean, I don't know.
Could you maybe make a sword cane then?
Yeah, the problem is the moment you deal damage with it, it disappears.
Yeah, that is also the issue too. So you can't make any weapon out of it anyway.
Also, the other problem is if it takes damage, it disappears. So if you put it under a door that's trying to crush it, if the door has enough force to crush it and it takes damage, then it's done.
I mean, that would be the question. It's like, okay, if you have, again, like a cube of iron or whatever, like, could most things really, like,
I guess
like,
what constitutes
it would depend on how much pressure. Well, that's the thing. Like, it would have to the door would have to be able to reach a certain amount of pressure to even begin to damage that at that point, because it's so freaking dense.
Well,
like,
if it's like, so like if you were to,
I would say the cube. Well, technically speaking, though, I guess it wouldn't matter, because then in the inverse would be, if it doesn't deal damage to the cube, then the cube would technically be dealing damage to it. Then it would literally start to break the wall, which would then technically make it disappear anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
Either one. If it can't damage the cube would then most likely damage it, and then it would disappear either way. Oh shit. So yeah, there you go. That's your first ability at level 2. Let's go to
You know what? I figured it out.
Please give us something. Cat.
You could make keys.
You could make one key.
Yeah, but as long as you've seen a key before, you could make a replica of that key.
That's true. Because
it has nothing to do with craftsmanship. It has everything to do with, I've seen it, and therefore I can magically recreate it.
You could magically recreate a key, and you would have to, of course, know what that key goes to, of course. So if you saw like, someone put a key into like a big safe or whatever,
go take keen
mind. Yep. I know you're going with this.
And all you do is you use like magic eye or a find familiar
clairvoyance,
where you see through its eyes,
scrying eye.
Yeah, all of these, right? And what you do is you just spy on wealthy people to find their keys hidden to saves, and then you make the key and give it to rogues to go break into people's houses.
Or you just, you teleport in yourself, because you're a conjuration specialist. That's what you do. You teleport, hey.
Or you conjure up a thief, like a pixie. Yeah. And then you just go, okay, go steal that.
You could summon a pixie.
What are you? I'm the great thief conjurer.
Turn invisible, and they just fly in there with the key. I mean, they can hopefully carry 10 pounds.
I've summoned 4 pixies. The 4 of you, take this in there and steal.
Take this. Steal everything. Here, take this bag of holding. I'm sure the 3 of you can hold it while the other one holds the key. Go now.
You'll have to put it in 1 coin at a time. All right, it sounds like this class is great so far.
It's so amazing. It's great. We found it. We found the perfect gimmick, the perfect shtick for this class. Let's keep going. We spent so much time on the second level, the first ability that you get. At 6th level, you get the ability known as Benign Transposition. You can use your action to teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. Alternatively, you can choose a space within range that is occupied by a small or medium creature. If that creature is willing, you both teleport, swapping places. Once you use this feature, however, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, or you cast a conjuration spell of 1st level or higher.
Okay.
It's not...
Okay.
It's not terrible. It's not horrible. Like, you can, like, it takes your action. It takes your action, but, and you can only use it once for free. But if you use Misty Step, and then this, you could teleport.
Is Misty Step a conjuration spell?
It should be. It's teleportation.
That's true.
Like, it doesn't make sense if it wasn't, really. Like, what else would it be? Yeah, it's conjuration. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's like, yeah, all teleportation is conjuration. So it's like, that's, yeah. So you could teleport 60 feet with 2,
or teleport you and a friend.
You could okay. Let me see.
You're across a chasm.
Exactly. You Misty Step across.
No. Other way. You're on one side, your friend's on the other.
I was gonna say, if you're both on the same side, you Misty Step across, then you do this to switch with your friend. So now they're across,
and then you have to Misty Step again.
Or no, but you can just teleport yourself. You don't have to switch with another person.
Oh, that's true.
So you can move your party like that. That's not bad. You can to be fair, you don't even have to Misty Step. Actually, you could just do this first, then do it again. Oh well, no, because you can only do it once for free. So
yeah,
okay, so you do it the one time for free. No, okay, yeah, you would have to Misty Step across first then. or
What you do is you
okay,
hope.
okay, no. Okay, you use vortex warp. You use vortex warp because that technically is a conjuration spell. That's 90 feet. So then you could technically you could just teleport your friend across with vortex warp and then use this for free to get across too. Or 60 feet. We could do it. It's a 60-foot gap. So you misty step, you're in the air, then you instantly teleport yourself another 30 feet to the other side.
Yeah. There you go. Although you should do that. You should teleport first.
And then you vortex warp 90 feet so you can pull your friends across. So then you use less spell slots that way. You use less.
It's not good, Adam.
Spell slots that
Adam,
way.
It's not good.
No, there are uses. I know there are. There are. Like there.
You'll have to do arithmetic to figure them out. Some sort of calculus, I imagine. But
well, that's what a lot of these are. A lot like this whole thing is literally you have to be like a bit of a geometry / like scientist kind of, not a genius, but just you got to have a bit of trig, a bit of geo, or a bit of geometry, trigonometry. But you could do it. You could do it. There are uses for this. It's not horrible. It's just woefully underwhelming. Like there's just not enough meat to it. It's not terrible though. Because like say for instance, okay, you're getting attacked by a dragon or some other creature in melee range, and you're like shit, and you don't want to get out of the way. You don't want to like move out for an opportunity attack. And instead, you switch with your barbarian or your paladin or your fighter who for some reason is farther away. That could work. That could work. It's like your fighter is farther away because the dragon left them to attack you because you're squishier and you were dealing damage to them. And so instead you're like, nah, fuck that. And you switch with them and then you run away. And then, if they break off to attack you again, you do it again. You misty step and then you switch with them so that it brings them at least 30 feet closer to the dragon. And then they can run the rest of the 30 feet to the dragon. Yeah, okay. There are some situations where this could be applicable. We'll move on now, though. We're gonna move on. Starting at 10th level, you get the ability known as focused conjuration. While you're concentrating on a conjuration spell, your concentration can't be broken as a result of taking damage.
Hey, look, a good ability.
That's not bad at all. So,
That's
like, if you literally summon like something like an elemental or a celestial or a demon or a fiend, whatever. Like you can't lose control of them.
Not at all.
That's great. You can.
I mean, they could just kill you.
Well, no. Well, I mean, they could still attack you, yeah, but they can't.
If they just kill you, your concentration's over.
I mean, sure, but the thing being is you would be farther away because of your ability to teleport and then teleport again. So you do this. You can summon your minion to go fight, and you can't lose control of them, meaning your minion will never turn on you. Also, for instance, another thing, you cast Far Step. That's a concentration ability, meaning you can just continuously Far Step. You will never lose concentration on Far Step. So you can teleport as a bonus action 60 feet at that point. Every turn. You don't have to use Misty Step or use more. You don't have to use more spell slots to teleport 60 feet. That's pretty good. Granted, this is at 10th level. It's not super high. It's not terribly high, and you already have Far Step at that point because I believe it's a 4th or 5th level spell. Let me even see real quick. Yeah, it's concentration up to a minute, and you can bonus action teleport 60 feet. So you don't even have to use spell slots for Misty Step anymore, and you can double the distance. And then you can maybe even double even more with your action teleport. Because okay, hang on a minute though. Hang on a second. The only issue with that is you can't use benign transposition because you're not casting the spell again. You're just teleporting again as a bonus action. So you couldn't technically use it in conjunction every time. No. Okay. Okay. Wait. Hang on a second. Okay, hang on a minute, though. To be fair, if you cast a conjuration spell, it it seems that it's part of the ability. So again, if it says if you cast Conjuration spell at first level or higher, then that might mean you're able to use benign transposition as part of that action of casting a conjuration spell.
No.
It just gives you another use?
Yeah.
So then it
doesn't stack. It just means you can use it once again. But
so it refills the charge, basically.
But you can't overfill it. So if I were to use it, cast 2 conjuration spells over the next 2 turns, I don't have 2 charges. I just have 1 still. Yeah, so it's not a good ability. It's stop trying to save it. It doesn't. Really
moving on to starting your final capstone ability for this subclass at 14th level, you get durable summons. Any creature that you summon or create with a conjuration spell has 30 temporary hit points.
Yeah, really, the only good the 2 best abilities are the last 2,
which I guess should make sense, but it would be nicer if the other ones earlier were just a little bit better. I mean, focus conjuration is pretty great, actually.
Focus conjuration is fantastic because
they're pretty
some of the summons you have, like if it's pretty like
summon a greater demon
or plane shift.
Well, that's not a concentration spell.
Is it not?
No. Banishment is. Plane shift, it just happens. You have to attack, and then they have to make a saving throw. Banishment is a concentration spell, so banishment's great.
Yeah, banishment.
They can't be unbanished technically. Yeah. So if you like banished a creature to that wasn't native to the plane of existence you're on, they're just gone at that point. Like you can technically you would be able to do a permanent banishment, that's pretty busted. Yeah. Obviously, they have to make a saving throw still, but still, if they fail to save, they're basically gone.
Okay, so summon fae, summon demons.
I'm saying summon a greater demon. Bring a Garistro. I think you could probably summon
Infernal Calling, or summon Celestial, or summon Fiend, or Conjure.
That's what I'm saying. Summon Draconic Spirit. I don't know if that's actually that great. Let me see.
Get Blade of Disaster, the best 9th level spell.
I mean, it's pretty bust. Blade of Disaster actually is pretty powerful. I mean,
it's not great.
It's not the best, but it does a lot of damage though. Like, and it takes a bonus action, so you can literally how far away can it go?
30 feet.
Okay, it can move up to 30 feet. Okay, and it can make 2 melee spell attacks, and it's literally what is it? It's 4d12 force damage.
Yeah.
And on a crit, it'll deal a total of 12d12 force damage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's and it can harmlessly pass through any barrier, including a wall of force, so it can just move through shit. So it can't be stopped, and you have it for 1 full minute. Like it'll never go away. Like you can't lose it unless they like dispel it. But
yeah. Also, Wish is a conjuration spell. So
is Wish conjuration?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But it's not concentration, so it doesn't matter.
No. Well, it can be though. Like
because it can replicate the effect of any other spell of 8th level or lower.
Yeah, so you could make like a what would be a great conjuration spell?
No idea.
What would be a great spell you could like that's
I have no idea.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, hang on. I'm gonna see real quick. Level. We're gonna do 9th level spells. Conjuration, wish. Storm of Vengeance. No one loves Storm of Vengeance. Storm of Vengeance is the worst. It's a terrible spell. Good lord.
Well, if I go up to like 8th level.
Gates Conjuration.
Okay, so in theory, you could use Wish to cast Tsunami and have advantage on that.
Takes a minute to cast though.
Yeah. No, but that's not how
Wish works?
Yeah, Wish just
okay. I mean, if we can give an argument for that, like, yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's how Wish works if you read it.
Tsunami. I mean, tsunami is decent, although that's very circumstantial because you could also end up
Sure.
fucking everything else up in the area too.
Here. Okay. You do not need to meet any requirements in the spell.
Okay.
Including costly components, the spell simply takes effect.
Okay.
So it just happens.
Okay. I mean, I'm definitely willing to let that slide like that.
Because like
I'm definitely like
Conjure Celestial takes a minute. No, it doesn't. Conjure Fiend, no. Conjure Fey takes a minute. No, it doesn't. Not if I use Wish to do it.
And it's at 9th level, which usually increases like
it wouldn't
power.
Increase. It wouldn't increase these, right? Oh no, it would.
Yeah, it does.
The
challenge rating increases by
because you're doing
it at a 9th level though. It's like Wish is the equivalent of casting a 9th level thing though. You can just duplicate the effects of any 8th level or below spell, but it's still a 9th level spell, and you're using a 9th level spell slot. So like it would technically reproduce the effects of a 9th level power level.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's the thing about Wish. Is like you reproduce the effects of an 8th level or below, but it's still using a 9th level spell slot. Like, so you would have 9th level power. So I mean, like, yeah, 7th level or higher, challenge rating for each slot above 6. So I mean, for
Conjure Celestial, it's at 9th level, it's a challenge rating of 5 or lower.
Yeah,
as opposed to a challenge rating of 4 or lower. Okay.
What are some 5th level Celestials that are
no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even really again, summon demon. Summon greater fiend, or yeah, okay. Greater demon is only a 4th level. What about fiend?
Wow, this is
7th level or higher. The higher level, wherever the spell's level block appears in the stat. So what?
You can summon a unicorn.
Oh, that's great.
What the hell? What about where's Pegasus?
Higher level, wherever the spell's level appears in the stat block. AC is 12, so it's level. Okay. So if you cast Summon Fiend, it's a fiendish spirit. When you cast a spell, choose Demon, Devil, or Yugoloth. The creature resembles a fiend of the chosen type, which determines certain traits in stat block. The creature disappears when it drops your hit points. Okay, it obeys your verbal commands. No action required by you. So it would gain 30 temporary hit points. So if you cast it at 9th level, it gets bonuses per level. So if it's like 9th level,
so it's natural level. It's 21 AC.
Yeah, it would have 20. It would have 21 AC at 9th level. 50 plus 15 for each level. So Jesus, it would have a lot of hit points.
No, it would.
What's 9?
Spell level above. No.
It would be
each spell level above 6th. So it's only 15.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's using a spell slot of 7th level or higher. Use the higher level wherever the spell's level appears in the stat block.
But look, so it's AC. Hit points.
Oh yeah, above 6th. Okay, you're right.
So it would be 90, 95, or 85, or 105 hit points.
Yeah,
that's not
all
that
right.
Good.
That's not that good.
Again, conjuration sucks. So
yeah,
that's the problem. The problem is there's nothing even because like Conjure Celestial is garbage.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. I mean, even Conjure Fiend or Summon Fiend, like this isn't like the only things that are affected by the higher level are just the AC and hit points, and the hit points not even like.
I guess you could do Infernal Calling. Because it would be Infernal Calling is, let me see, what's the challenge rating? Challenge rating.
Oh, hey,
challenge rating 6 or lower. So it starts at 6, and then every spell level above 5, it goes up by 1. So
you could do Flock of Familiars. Flock of Familiars. It's usually a concentration spell, but for you, it'll just be a full hour. You have a full
Flock of Familiars. Flock of Familiars is from not even from an official D&D book.
Well, no, it's Lost Laboratory of Quellish.
Is it?
Yeah, it's official.
Not drugs.
Apparently, because yeah, it's Lost Laboratory of Quellish, so it's official.
No, it is.
It takes a casting time of 1 minute, but again, you can just have this. You know, at 10th level, you can't lose this at all. And if you summon at a higher level, you can get more familiars for each slot level above second. So you could have a lot. You could have a lot of familiars with yeah, and they can all technically fight in this.
Okay, this one is. I still think Infernal Calling is your best bet so far, because it's a spell slot of 6. It's a 5th level spell, plus 4
Wrist pocket. What the fuck is this? Oh,
so it would be challenge rating 10. What devil could you bring out that's a challenge rating 10?
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's what you can get with Infernal Calling.
Reality Break. That's okay. That's
10. Come on, give me a good one.
Maze. Yay! Hey, you could do Maze. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's concentration.
You could summon an Orthon.
You could Demiplane's Conjuration doesn't really have an effect on anything.
You can summon an Orthon. What
Teleport,
the fuck is this?
Temple of the Gods. Conjure Celestial.
Oh, it's an Infernal Bounty Hunter.
Okay.
They can become invisible at will. Okay, the problem is you're dealing with devils, so they could just kill you instead. But
okay, because I was gonna say, you don't have control over them, and it's unfriendly toward you and your companions.
Yeah.
Or hang on, yeah. So that's not really helpful at all.
But yeah, I guess it wouldn't be.
Yeah, no, it's unfriendly. It literally says the devil is unfriendly toward you and your companions. It is under the dungeon master's control and acts according to its nature on each of its turns, which might result in its attacking you if it thinks it can prevail or trying to tempt you to undertake an evil act in exchange for limited service.
Fine, Conjure Fey. You can do Conjure Fey at CR8.
God damn it! Oh, there's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a way. Okay, wait, hang on.
No, CR9. You could do CR9 for Conjure Fey.
Wait. Okay, there's Summon Celestial and then Conjure Celestial. So like,
yeah, one's different than the other.
Yeah, what the hell? Why?
Because one of them is a celestial spirit, the other one is based on
an actual celestial.
Yeah.
God, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
Roll initiative for the celestial, which has its own turn. It obeys any verbal commands as long as they don't violate its alignment. If you don't issue any commands, and you cast a spell using the 9th level slot, you can summon a challenge rating 5. Why? Why is it only 5 or lower? I mean, I get celestials are usually inherently powerful, but even a celestial of 10, like, come on.
Okay, you can summon a CR9 Fey. You can summon a Conclave Dryad.
Okay, yeah, Fey. That's our saving grace here. Okay, it's friendly to you, so you summon a Fey creature. It's friendly to you and your companions. It obeys any verbal commands you issue, no action, as long as they don't violate alignment. And you can't. Okay, concentration isn't broken. Okay. So it won't become hostile. Okay.
You can summon a Burhag.
When you cast a spell using a spell slot of 7th, challenge increases by 1 for each slot level of 6. So so yeah, you could summon, yeah, like you're right. Summon a 9th level Fey. What about Night Hag? Are Night Hags?
No, Night Hag is higher.
Damn it. Monsters. Hang on.
Oh no, maybe they're not.
I'm looking now. Night Hag. No, they're challenge rating 5. Night Hags are challenge rating 5.
Okay, so you can summon a Night Hag.
So let's hang on. Let's get real specific with this. So we're gonna go type Fey. Boop. Then we're gonna go challenge rating.
Is a Night Hag fake? Because I'm not seeing Night Hag on here.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Night Hags are technically fiends.
You can't summon them.
You could with summon fiend or whatever. So you
sure, but those ones aren't friendly to you. These ones have to be.
No. One of them specifically isn't. There are certain fiends you can summon that are friendly to you, but the infernal calling is unfriendly to you.
No, but the greater demon and lesser demon, like the other fiend ones,
you can control them though first.
Only if you have their name, and it's a save, and they will kill you. You could summon like an Annis hag or a dusk hag or a burr hag, or a conclave dryad. That's only if you have Guide to Ravnica, which might or might not be helpful. You can summon a coral. I don't know what that is. It's just here, and
Annis hag is only a 6th level though. Burr hags are only challenge rating 7. That's not bad. Conclave dryad is your best thing here.
Yeah, and it can suppress magic.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty great. Coral. Oh, that's misplaced monsters.
Either way, this isn't very good. So
Dusk hag, which is 6.
Can we just remember that this is a 18th level wizard? So like, why are you doing this?
Well, technically durable summons is 14th level, so it would be 14th.
Well, no, but I'm talking about a 9th level wish spell.
Yeah, you're right. Well, no, they would be 17th. You get 9th level spells at 17th level.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be 17.
Still bad.
Yeah, hag of. Okay, no, I can't look at that. Oh, you could summon a Zold. Wow, look at that.
You sound really excited.
So, yeah, yeah. You could summon a Smiler the Defiler.
That's a named character. You can't just summon this.
You don't know that. It could come if you summon him. He's a Fae. He's technically a Fae.
You'd have to know about him.
I mean, he's a named person, so you could know about him.
I think we're making a case for something that's just not that great.
Fudge, dude. Yeah, this is just not like it's not.
Sure.
It's not.
You know what? You could summon beasts and just summon a bunch of dogs.
I mean,
for what? I don't know.
Can you? I don't even know if you can technically conjure animals. Well,
with Wish you could.
Yeah, you could. You could conjure animals at a 9th level and
9th level.
But they would all just die though. Things would destroy them before they really.
We're not talking about effectiveness. We're talking about what you can do.
Oh my god, this is.
I'm gonna conjure some elephants. 9th level elephants.
You can only conjure a few. Well, if it's 9th level, hang on. Conjure animals. But no, the highest they can only be CR2. It can only be a CR2 beast at the highest.
But could you summon more of them?
Yeah, you can summon 4 times as many with a 9th level slot. So you can summon. That's what I'm saying. You can summon a huge war. Like you could literally summon an army of wolves. Like literally. Because wolves are, I believe they are what 8 challenge rating 1/8 to 1/4 beasts. So you could summon 8 of those. 4 times 8. What?
Be 32.
Yeah, it'd be 32 total. So you could summon 32 wolves.
You can summon a battalion of wolves.
But my point being is, someone just drops a fireball on them. though. They're gone. It means nothing.
But you could summon them.
You could. Yeah, you could.
Whether it's effective
with your wish spell, you could summon 32 wolves and could never break concentration on it.
If you want to summon 32 wolves, just play Circle of Shepherd.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just play a druid anyway. Druids can just do that anyway.
Yeah. I think that's do you have anything else to add to Terrible Wizard?
Teleportation's cool.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's just you like teleportation's cool. Everybody loves teleportation. It'd be cool to summon stuff and then to transport things, but it just made it so lame. It's so lean. Bad. Why? It could have been so much better. I will still say Far Step. The unbreakable Far Step is still great. You could teleport as a bonus action 60 feet as much as you want for a minute. That's still good. You can't, it's at that 10th level. What's your last one, Sam? That's it. That is in essence the totality of the wizard school of conjuration, as told by us here at the Arcane Archive. What's your last one, Sam?
My last one is College of Swords. Yeah. Okay, here. So remember in our favorite book,
Yep. Our
what's it called?
favorite book. Sword Coast
Adventures Guide.
Adventures
So they
Guide.
talked about the College of Swords in Sword Coast Adventures Guide.
Of
They
course
said,
they
"Oh, the
did.
blades they exist," but they didn't give a subclass for it. And now that they have one, it's bad.
Yep.
Well, it's just not as good as it should be. But okay, here we'll get into it. God, that's a lot of text for a class I don't care about. Bards of the College of Swords are called blades, and they entertain through daring feats of weapon prowess. Blades perform stunts as sword swallowing, knife throwing, and juggling, and mock combats. Cool. Though they use their weapons to entertain, they are also highly trained and skilled warriors in their own right. Their talent with weapons inspires many blades to lead double lives. One blade might use a circus troupe as cover for nefarious deeds such as assassination, robbery, and blackmail. Other blades strike at the wicked, bringing justice to bear against the cruel and powerful. Most troops are happy to accept a blade's talent for the excitement it adds to a performance, but few entertainers fully trust a blade in their ranks. Blades who abandon their lives as entertainers have often run into trouble that makes maintaining their secret activities impossible. A blade caught stealing or engaging in vigilante justice is too great a liability for most troops. With their weapon skills and magic, these blades either take up work as enforcers for thieves' guilds or strike out on their own as adventurers. It's a cool backstory.
Yeah, it's got some nice flavor.
Half of it ties more into whispers. But here we are. The College of Swords features are as followed. At 3rd level, you get bonus proficiencies. When you join the College of Swords, you gain proficiency with the medium armor and the scimitar. If you're proficient with a simple or martial melee weapon,
love a good scimitar.
And if you're proficient with a simpler martial melee weapon, including that scimitar, you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your bard spells. Still, although you wouldn't need to, because you can't use shields, so you just carry something in your other hand that can act as this focus. Fighting style. At 3rd level, you adopt a style of fighting as your specialty. Choose one of the following options. You can't take a fighting style option more than once, even if something in the game lets you choose again. You can take the dueling, which is wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons. You gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls with the weapon, or 2-weapon fighting. When you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier damage to the second attack. Those are your options. You can't be a shooty sword bard. You can only be a fighty sword bard with swords.
Which, thematically
it's fine. Yeah, whatever.
Makes sense. What kind of sword bard would you be if you didn't, use swords?
You're correct. At 3rd level, you get Blade Flourish.
That sounds
you learn to perform
fancy.
Impressive displays of martial prowess and speed.
Ooh.
Whenever you take the attack action on your turn, your walking speed increases by 10 feet until the end of your turn.
Hey.
And if a weapon attack that you make as part of this action hits a creature, you can choose one of the following Blade Flourish options of your choice. You can use only one Blade Flourish per turn. There is the Defensive Flourish. You can expend 1 use of your Bardic Inspiration to cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target you hit.
Okay.
The damage equals the number you roll on the Bardic Inspiration die. You also add the number rolled to your AC until the start of your next turn.
That's not bad at all. As your Bardic Inspiration die gets bigger, it's
Slashing Flourish. You can expend 1 use of your Bardic Inspiration to cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target you hit and any other creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of you. The damage equals the number you roll on the Bardic Inspiration die.
Hey,
there's no modifier. There is no nothing. It is just what you roll on the dice. Mobile Flourish. You can expend 1 use of your Bardic Inspiration to cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target you hit. The damage equals the number you roll on the Bardic Inspiration die. You can also push the target up to 5 feet away from you, plus a number of feet equal to the number you roll on that die. You can then immediately use your reaction to move up to your walking speed to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the target.
I mean, okay, so
why? I guess so. You can single somebody out and then move into their space again and attack them a second time at level 6.
It's a little extra control and movement.
Sure.
Like even with slashing flourish, it's like if you are being surrounded or ganked, like if somebody is like
that ability works from levels 1 to 4, maybe, and you don't even have this for most of that because it's a 3rd level ability. After that, dealing 6 damage to 3 people next to you isn't really helpful.
It's a bit of extra damage. There's nothing bad with that, especially because it's just free damage. You don't even have to roll to hit them. If you hit your target, they just take passive extra damage to any other creature that you can see within 5 feet of you. So again, if you have like 3 dudes all against you, maybe 1 behind you or more, like you literally just do like a spinning attack. It's just free extra damage. It's not bad at all. Like, you attack your 1 target, and then you can just get like a little bit of passive splash damage for anyone else around. Like, that's not terrible.
Sure. You know what a better use of your bardic inspiration is? Using the new inspiration to add damage to an area of effect spell by one of your allies.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because they could just throw a fireball, and then that 8 damage goes to everyone in the fireball.
But they can't necessarily do fireball because you're up in the melee with all of them, and they'd hit you too unless you're an avocation wizard. So
that's why you just play Valor Bard. At 6th level, you get extra attack. Cool. We like that. It's at 6th level. Fine. And then that's it until 14th level, when you get starting at 14th level, whenever you use a Blade Flourish option, you can roll a d6 and use it instead of expending a bardic inspiration die. So are you out of d12s? Well, now you can use a d6 instead.
Half effective, or at least potentially at its maximum would be half effective.
Look, I wanted more from this class because it's basically just budget Battle Master. When you have magic, and the issue is, bards don't have a lot of offensive magic, and so
no. But I mean, they don't even have a lot of defensive magic for them. Like, again, the defensive flourish is pretty decent, actually.
It's the best one by far.
Like, the fact you can add the roll to your AC until it's like a shield spell, essentially, that you don't even have to use your reaction for.
Sure, unless you roll a 1.
I mean,
or 2 or 3. That's not very good.
I mean, a 3 is still, if you have a decent AC to begin with.
But you won't as a bard.
I mean,
nothing crazy.
Well, again, that's kind of also the vibe of the bard, though. If you have a D12, you roll a 12 plus 12 to your AC. That's insane.
That is good.
That's crazy.
How often are you going to roll that?
I mean, 1 in 12 chance, technically speaking, but
you.
Well, that's why I don't play. I don't play. I don't play sword bards. That's why I don't do that. Sam.
Yeah,
I don't choose that. I go the safe route. I go Blade Singer Wizard every time.
Here's my problem. There is another option if you want to play a bard that can do fighting, and that's Valor Bard.
That's Valor Bard. Yes.
Now, here's why I like Valor Bard is because you get proficiency
with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons,
and also you have combat inspiration, which allows you to they can add your inspiration to a weapon attack damage roll so yes, you're more of a support role, but you're still it's better. It's more consistent damage.
It's sure it can be, but it's also it's clearly much more simplistic and straightforward. There's not a lot of extra
either of them aren't
stuff. I mean, well, again, the other one is at least like, oh hey, you got you got a scimitar, and first it was simple or melee. You can use it as your spellcasting focus. You get a fighting style. You get a fighting style.
Yeah.
That's something. You get a fighting style, which can help. And then you can maybe increase your AC by a pretty bonkers amount as you get higher.
That's it.
I mean, you could.
We not so long ago talked about whispers, and look at all the stuff you got from that, and you could still build that as an assassin character.
Yeah, you really
can't do that with this. It just doesn't really work. It doesn't do enough of what it wants to do.
Well, it's definitely suffering from a severe lack of meat in it for the things.
Look, some would say, oh well, the meat is the fact that you're a full caster. My problem is, we just looked at Whispers Bard, and it was a full caster, plus it had all this cool stuff.
That's what I'm saying. For Whispers Bard and
Glamour is a good example of it. 100% has all this extra shit it can do that builds on both Bard and itself.
Yeah,
College of Swords just doesn't like. And again, this is funny. If you play Baldur's Gate, College of Swords is the worst Bard.
Yeah,
by far the worst bard of the bard
Yeah,
picks.
no, it's pretty
I had a
bad.
friend who was like, "Oh, I want to play College of Swords. I want to be a melee bard." I'm like, "Just play a different class.
Yeah,
It's not
no.
good. You're never going to be using the
Just
attacks
literally
anyway.
just be an evocation wizard and get weapons that literally allow you to just do that anyway. There's no
Or
reason to
just play regular bard. Just play
yeah,
regular. It's better.
do it yeah, do
Full
the other
bard. Full
bard.
bard in that game is way better than swords bard.
Yeah, yeah.
My first
No.
playthrough, full bard. You don't even worry about it.
Yeah, no. You can't
Um,
fail. You can't
it's
fail
just
any persuasion or deception
it's
check.
it's it's unfortunate because when College of Swords came out, I was like, ooh, spell sword. Ooh. That's all I wanted to play. I was like, I want to be a spell sword. And then I looked at the class when I was going to play Tomb of Annihilation, and I went,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be useless, I might as well play College of Glamour. And then College of Glamour ended up being way more useful. So,
Yeah.
it has a couple bits that I'm like, yes, I like that. It's really just the one flourish. It's just that, really. It's just the one flourish
I
for
mean,
me.
even like again, none of the flourishes are necessarily bad. Like again, being able to with mobile flourish, having the ability to have some maneuverability on the battlefield, like to move your opponent specifically. Not only that, it's a minimum of 5 feet plus an extra amount for whatever you roll on your die. So I mean, again, you could potentially knock and push a dude, like almost like maximum 17 feet at one point, or I guess 15 because you can't really do the extra 2 feet to be fair, but 15 feet away from you, which is pretty decent. Like, obviously depending on what you roll, of course, but if you're on like, a precarious perch, you can knock them off easily enough. And if you don't, you can attack twice, meaning you could technically do this twice, I believe. So you can attack them
only
twice.
once per turn.
Oh, you can expend to deal damage.
One flourish per turn.
Yeah, okay.
But you can still attack them the second time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I guess you can only use. Well, yeah, all right. Well, because it says you can only use one flourish per turn, but it doesn't necessarily say like.
So here. And if a weapon attack that you make as part of the attack action, hits a creature, you can use one of the following blade flourish options of your choice. You can only do that once per turn. So you can attack 2-3 times, once with your bonus. Like if you attack with your bonus action, you can't use a blade flourish on that. It has to be part of the 1 or 2 attacks that you make as a part of the attack action. And you can only do it once. It's similar to Battlemaster, I think, right? Because Battlemaster's like that
too.
No.
Well, no, because Battlemaster, you can activate your maneuvers as much as you want. It's not once per turn.
Oh boy.
As long as you have the superiority dice.
One maneuver per attack.
Yeah,
so it's just a worse Battlemaster fighter with spells.
Yeah, because I'm saying, like that.
But it has spells.
Yeah,
it does have spell. Like the one.
It has spell.
Yeah, that's all I got for it, and like I feel bad because I wanted to like it, and it's just not enough.
I mean, everybody loves a spell sword. Like spell swords are some of the most beloved for a reason. Like who doesn't love being able to like again have that duality of magic and melee and whatever. Like I mean honestly, I'm even bigger a fan of like a hand-to-hand combatant spellcasters. Like I love like if you have like hand-to-hand fighters that can also cast spells or do spell like stuff. Like I love that shit, But like yeah, this is just severely suffering from just lack of meat to it, especially like with that caveat of you can only use a blade flourish option once per turn. Like that's even worse. Like I don't know why they did that, because it's like that you should like, because if it specifically ties to a use of your bardic inspiration die anyway, like you only have a limited amount of those to begin with. Even then, like that's like
like it should be up to me if I want to just like use all my shit.
Yeah, like burn that shit, especially again with mobile flourish. You're trying to push a dude. Like again, Battlemaster, you can continuously do pushing attack with every attack. It's like you hit him, push, you hit him, push, you hit him, push. Like,
and with this, like with College of Valor, if you cast a spell as an action, you can still attack as a bonus action later levels. So it encourages you to throw out spells to help your friends and then also still get an attack in edgewise. Whereas this, there's no intertwining with them being a spellcaster and a melee character. So like to me, it just feels like there was a disconnect where
there's a lot of disconnect in that fucking book. Let me tell you.
They didn't. Well, no, this was Xanathar's by the time.
Was it Xanathar's? Really?
Yeah. Which makes it worse,
dude. That's even worse. If it's part of Xanathar's, God.
That's why I was so disappointed by it. Is because I'm like, you're kidding me.
It's even worse. Like I mean, what's even worse about mobile flourish though is it's like it says you can expend a use to cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target you hit. You can then immediately use a reaction. But like if it's on your turn, why would you use your reaction to then move up to your walking speed to an unoccupied space within 5 feet? It should just be
I can move. You can then follow the target.
Why would you even want? Why would you use your reaction to then do that? Like unless of course you already used all of your movement, and then you can use your reaction to then do a more movement. I guess.
Yeah, I think the idea is it's to single someone out into a duel. So say you're fighting a group of guys. There's one guy on the edge that you want to disconnect, right? So you come in from the side, push them. They get pushed away. You move around. You know, you've already used your movement to get there. So now you use your reaction to move around and up to him.
I was going to say, that's the only scenario that makes sense is if you used up all or most of your movement to get to them in the first place, to then be able to like do a reaction dash to get back to them, to
which is essentially what it is.
Second time.
But like it's not.
But technically, this wouldn't even really be the case until you get to 6th level to get a second attack, unless you have your bonus action attack. Like,
which no, it can only. Well, yeah, I guess if you had a bonus action,
yeah,
if you did,
you could do a bonus. You could do a wield and do a bonus action attack, but like otherwise, for the first 3 levels after getting this ability, like there's no reason, realistically, you want to chase after them at that point. Like, you'd want them to come to you, and then, like. I'd say for the first 3 levels, this has no real use to move up to them.
Again, which is why, like, the other melee, the other like warrior bard class has the option of being ranged.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's like I have a built valor bard fighter with a gun. Like there's no reason to go.
No.
Yes, you could do
except for swords, because it's supposed to be swords, but they didn't give it enough. Like meat, enough skill, enough like prowess.
Like the flourishes should have got better, or
they should you should either have more flourishes again, like the battle master has a ton of different maneuvers, or they should get stronger, and you should be able to use them more often or something. Like, they're tied to your bardic inspiration die, like
we don't get that many.
No, you don't. You get very few. I think it's tied to your proficiency bonus or whatever, right? Usually,
which is why Valor Bard works better, because it's using them in conjunction with helping your teammates. I still think like College of Glamour is one of the best uses of Bardic Inspiration because it helps your whole team.
No, so it's equivalent to your charisma modifier.
Yeah.
And you can only get them back at a long rest. So like, damn, dude.
You get them back to a short rest later on, but still.
Yeah.
It's not
So I mean, your charisma modifier, you at max, you for most vanilla games anyway, you have a total of 5 inspiration die, and you're obviously wanting to use that to help your friends as well.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And like the worst part is, if you use all your inspiration, you get a D6, but like,
I mean, but that's at level 14.
It's a D6. Like you can just go get a sword that does 2D6. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't add enough to where I'm like.
It should just be you just get, if you can reroll instead of expanding, like. So okay. Hang on a second. To be fair though, to that point, you can just use it as much as you want though. That does make up for it. It literally says
it's still only once per round.
But at the very least, you can always do it though. That is you never run out of the ability to use your flourishes at that point.
But
to
it's
be fair.
a D6 instead of a D12, and
I would at least want it to be like a D8, like at least a D8, which would have been nice. But like, I mean, but I guess that's where the trade-off comes, is like, okay, you can do this consistently, you'll never run out, but you won't, you'll only get half the amount of power that you would at maximum with a D12.
It's
Like,
still just
to be
not.
like, again, I don't necessarily mind that trade-off. And with that, with how they've worded it, it's like, what I don't like the fact again though is like, I feel like it should have just been that earlier. Like make that like a 10th level ability instead of 14th.
Well, we all know why it's like that.
I know it's because of the subclass. Yeah, but it's still just like they should, like, honestly, they should have made it 6th level. I feel like they should have made that 6th level along with your extra attack ability,
and then give them something else,
and then give them something else at 14th level. Like, because like, at 6th
okay
level, if you literally have just a D, like it would already your bardic inspiration die, I think at that level would probably be around 6 to 8. So it would still be within the same basic parameters, and then you can choose that. Like, basically, like, you can do that as much as you want. It's once per round, which again is stupid in my opinion. But with the added thing of like, okay, you can always do it at least once per turn, and you don't have to use up a bardic inspiration die, so you can use your bardic inspiration die to support your friends. Like, that's a fine trade-off to me. I think that's fine and fair, where it's like you can either use it here for a higher potential, and again, not even guaranteed, right? Because again, D12, you could still just roll up to 6 and technically speaking, on average, you'll probably roll a 6 or a 7 on average anyway, to be fair, on a D12, even then, technically speaking. And so it's like, obviously the average goes down with the D6, and on average you'll roll like a 3 or a 4, but that still technically would be only like 2 to 3 points lower than the average of a D12 would technically be. So it's not a huge, like, terrible trade-off, especially if you just have a consistent thing where you can always do it. It's still stupid that you can only do it once per, like, again, even better, they could have been like, hey, you can only do this once per turn unless you expend a use of your bardic inspiration die. If you expend a use of your bardic inspiration die, you can do it as many times, but it's your bardic inspiration die, so you lose that. But if you use just your blade flourish dice instead, you can only do it once per turn. That would make sense to me as well, because that's a clear, like, so this class still, at least in my opinion, has some potential. Like, you might have, I would homebrew it a little bit for those homebrew rules to be like, first off, 6th level, or whatever. I would say you can take this ability here, and then 14th level will just give you something else or whatever. We can even make it where the D6, instead of being a D6, it goes up to like a D10 instead. So like at 14th level, your consistent, your blade flourish die becomes a D10. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
14th level, your blade flourish die is a D10. And you can do your blade flourish more times in a turn if you expend an actual bardic inspiration die to use it. Otherwise, it's once per turn with your blade flourish die.
Yeah, it would make it more competitive.
Boom, there you go. That, I mean, at least, again, it would have to be homebrewed for it to be really viable at all, but it's at least I can still feel like that could still be slightly enjoyable. It could still be fun. It has its thing, but it's yeah, it's a little bit more like bells and whistles compared to the College of Valor. College of Valor is just very straightforward. It's very just, like, it doesn't have a lot of, like, it's lackluster in terms of presentation, but obviously its effectiveness is still great. But like, yeah, if someone were to play College of Swords, I'd be like, bet we're probably just gonna have to tinker with it a little bit for it to be more interesting and fun. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Anything else that you'd like to add, Sammy?
No, I don't really got anything else.
Yeah. Well, y'all, I do believe then that is the full totality of the Bard College of Swords subclass, as told to y'all by us here at the Arcane Archive. And that should indeed wrap up today's rousing session of subclass discussion. As always, thank you guys for tuning in and staying with us for as long as you have. If you have, please be sure to like and comment on the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Share it, please. We always appreciate any support you can offer. And you know, we appreciate you guys that you've been coming with us. You know, there's been a couple of videos in here and there that have actually been doing really well lately. We got a number of new subscribers recently too, which is great. And you know, we appreciate that so much. We really do enjoy being able to kind of do this, sit down every week and just shoot the shit about stuff and rant and rave and have a fun, good time about this stuff. And we hope you guys do too. So thank you as always, and we'll catch you next time we dive back down into the archive. Bye.